Tuesday challenge. We asked a question. A person in a dormitory placed the heater to go on at 3 a.m. And at 1 a.m. when his friend got into the room, he took his coat and dumped it over the heater because he saw the heater wasn't on. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Not such a crazy thing. However, unfortunately, at 3 o'clock in the morning when the heater went on, it burned the coat and it burned the other things around in the dormitory. We're not going to make it into like an internal combustion of the entire room. Okay, we'll just make other damage. The question is, who has to pay for this damage? So, we have a case the Gemara talks about where a person brings fire and a person brings a person brings the a flame and a person brings the wood, right? Who's chayav? Echad hamevi and echad hamevi. So there the Gemara says whoever brings the second item is responsible, because why? A guy brings fire and a guy brings the fuel, meaning the wood. Well, it's the wood that's causing it, shall we say, to expand. The question is that the same in our case? Because let's face it, when Shimon placed down his coat, it wasn't on. Now, is a heater a normal place for placing a coat? And is this the first time that the heater went on at 3 in the morning? Is it usually on all night? In which case, when you don't see it there's a reason why it's off. Why would you assume it goes on? Is it a standard that at some point in the middle of the night it actually goes on? Certain yeshivas want to save money and they control your ability to use the heat. That's what it was in my yeshiva, in my caravan, overlooking the hills of the Shimon, right? So you didn't have control. You couldn't do the heat whenever you wanted. It was expensive, right? So did you know when it was going on? No. You just hope it went on, because sometimes it didn't go on. Because, various reasons. Up on a coat rack thing. There's a coat, whatever it's called, coat rack. Yeah. There's coat racks in the room. We do. I had a peg in my room. You guys have pegs in your room? Yeah, you have peg. Right? It was like you put it there, which is a normal place, and all of a sudden heat came through that area. So if it's the question, what is normal and accepted? If it is normal to dump things on radiators because they never go on or they're always on, in which case the guy didn't do anything wrong. He always puts it there. He's not expecting it to go on. Why should he expect it to go on? If, however, there's a chance that it will go on because it's off on a timer or it could be on a timer, it's not totally unusual. So even in that case, I saw it might still be considered patur. The reason is because the only way you're obligated to pay for something when you damage is if it's direct. But if it's a grama, if it's indirect, then it actually would be exempt. So, however, midei shamayim, from a heavenly purpose, the second person should compensate. It is the correct thing to do. I saw a split on this case. I just threw out there for 20 seconds, and that is, what about if a person is cleaning the room before Shabbat? And what do? They're in charge of sweeping or mopping the floor. That's my job, is to mop the floor, right? So what do you do when you have things on the floor and your job is to sweep or mop the floor? You put everything on top. That's what you do, right? I don't know how many people can relate to this. So let's say you actually had a heating connected to also on a timer. You see it's not on. You're expected, the normal thing is, I got to clean the floor. This guy left, he shouldn't have left it on the floor. So you take it and you put it on the bed. That's what you do. And you swept and you mopped, and then an hour later, once you've left and gone to another room, the heater then, let's say, went off. In that case, even the minaka, even the cleaner, would be totally exempt, even from a heavenly perspective, because they just did what they're supposed to do, right? And they just literally put the heater on the bed because they got to clean off things on the floor. And if that's part of your expectation in your job, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you could never have thought that it was on a timer or whatever, then you would also, even in that case, perhaps you'd even say there's more room to be lenient, and you wouldn't even be obligated to be bidei shemai from a heavenly perspective because you just did what you're supposed to do. And the first guy didn't do anything wrong, he just put something on a timer. How are you going to blame him? So who should pay for the damaged goods? So this Baruch Hu will pay at some point in time. We'll compensate people. And Hashem will have to compensate those people who lost. What are you going to do if you're not able to obligate someone? God forbid you should extract money from somebody when they're not really responsible. And hopefully Hashem, who runs the world, will compensate people for their losses at some point in time. Have a terrific Tuesday.